Okie dokie, let's get started. Steve Jobs was known for releasing magical products. Unfortunately, if you look at the latest Apple products, that's not necessarily the case. Just look at the Apple Watch. Nowhere near what the first iPhone was when that was released. Apple was very confused about what the watch was supposed to do from day one. Now it's kind of a fitness product, but that hasn't been always the case. Refreshingly, the AirPods are different though. Starting with the setup. When you take them out of the box, you just open the case and hold it near your iPhone or your iPad. A prompt comes up, hit connect, and that's it. In fact, at that moment, they do not only get paired to this single device, but to all of your Apple devices thanks to iCloud. And this sort of smooth experience continues with music listening. As you probably know, the AirPods themselves have no physical buttons. Once you put them into your ears, they make a sound confirming they are turned on and connected, and the only thing left to do is to start playing music. If someone walks up to you, you intuitively take one of the earbuds out and the music pauses. Put it back in and it resumes. As I mentioned, there are no physical controls, but there are quite a few ways of controlling the music without having to dig out your phone. First of all, if you do not mind giving Apple even more money, you can use the Apple Watch. As a built-in method, you can just double tap any of the earbuds to invoke Siri and ask her what you want to do. Since iOS 11, it is possible to configure this double tap setting individually for the left and right earbud. Speaking of Siri, she still isn't the smartest and requires internet connection for anything but the most basic commands. However, the microphones in the end of each AirPod do pick up my voice very well even in loud environments. Not only when commanding Siri, but I was told I sound clearer during phone calls with the AirPods compared to just holding the phone up to my ear. That's probably because the software is trying to be clever, using the microphone which gets better capture of my voice when it's, for example, windy outside. As any piece of technology, these are not without their flaws. The sound quality is quite good, especially considering they do not form a proper seal around your ear canal, but that's exactly the biggest problem. In quiet environments, you can nicely hear all the instruments, but if it gets louder, the sound just turns into a uniform noise. I seriously do not understand how some people can use these on the subway or during flights. Apple will most likely not make a version with rubber seals anytime soon, but given they already have microphones built in, I wouldn't be too surprised to see some sort of active noise cancellation integrated once the processing efficiency becomes good enough to not totally ruin the battery life. Speaking of that, battery life is not a problem. I think Apple quotes about 5 hours of music listening time from the earbuds themselves and 24 hours from the earbuds plus the case combined, and about half of that for phone calls. From my experience, that's about accurate, and that's what I've been getting. Back to the bad points though, because this one clearly demonstrates the lack of focus from the new Apple. The overall experience of using these when connected to a Mac is significantly worse. Number 1, you cannot pair them using the simple process like on iOS. Number 2, the double tap commands you configured earlier do not transfer over to the Mac. In other words, double tapping any of the AirPods activates Siri. As far as I know, there is no way to change this on the Mac. Speaking of Siri, because of some unknown reason, she cannot hear me well on the Mac but hears me totally fine on the iPhone. And last but not least, the switch from wireless music mode to wireless headset mode sometimes takes up to 10 seconds, despite being basically instant on iOS. To me, it just seems like Apple has totally forgotten or ignored that some people want to use this with their computers and has only integrated the full feature set on their compact devices. And it's not like time is an excuse, because these have launched more than a year ago. Oh, and not to forget the usual one. These use the proprietary Lightning connector instead of the universal USB-C, which is also on the new MacBooks.